with another edition of HBCU Overdrive. Today we're going to talk about the big thing that's going on at Jackson State right now. Basically the big thing that's going on in college football. That would be Jackson State Coach Prime, Shedeur, and Travis Hunter being on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Now, there hasn't been anybody from the black college community that was on Sports Illustrated since Steve McNair back in 1994, and that was a push for his Heisman candidacy. So, it's a big deal for Jackson State. It's a big deal for D.I. Love. So, you get the chance to put Shedeur and Travis in the spotlight because those are your two high profile players that you have on the team. Not only just with them, but you also get to see what Dion does at the school as far as him being a coach. Like I said, this is momentous for all HBCUs. That's saying that it can never be done. It also goes into play that anybody can come to an HBCU and rock and be a star and go on to the next level, to the NFL, either be the NFL, the CFL, XFL, USFL, whatever pro league that's around. It's a good look for players to come to not only Jackson State, but to HBCUs combined. So, what did I say about this? I mean, like I said, it's a big deal. It's a big thing. Haven't had this type of exposure since, like I said, 1994. That's almost 30 years. I see it being catapulted to bringing other programs into the fold, like a Florida A&M or South Carolina State or North Carolina A&T, or even you can go back to the old days of Grambling or Alcorn. I can see it propelling other schools into the spotlight. So you go in depth. I don't know the details of it because the issue doesn't come out to June 16th, which is next week. But I know it probably goes into depth of how Dion got to the point where he flipped Travis Hunter from going to Florida State to coming to Jackson State. You got to remember, Travis Hunter was FSU all the way through, all up until the 23rd hour. And then he basically did the big flip from Florida State to Jackson State. The man, the kid basically said that Prime was his biggest, his idol at the time. So why not go from, instead of going to Florida State where he actually played at, to going to the school where he actually coached, and to get coached by him, to get pointers by him, to get seen by him, to get the notoriety by him. And of course for Shedeur, you know, Shedeur being his son, his baby boy, that puts him in an even bigger spotlight than what it was for his freshman year. So it also, to me, I feel like it also goes into detail of how Coach Prime is running the program at Jackson State now than what it was ran from in previous regimes. It's different. People look at it as it's different because he uses social media so much to push the narrative that you can come to an HBCU and you can be seen too. You don't have to go to a Power 5 or a G5 school to be seen and be heard. You could come home to the HBCUs so you could be seen. and you can move on to the next level. That's what he's preaching. That's what we've all been preaching. We try to get back to the point where the HBCUs was the pipeline for the NFL that was used in the 60s, 70s, and early to mid 80s. We want to get back to that point. I mean, you could go back to the point where, let's say 20 years ago, a Robert Mathis coming from Alabama A&M, like I said, a Sylvester Morris coming from Jackson State, or you could say, like I say, a Rasheem Mathis coming from Bethune-Cookman, a Drayden Florence coming from Tuskegee. People forgot about him. People usually forget about him. You see, like Antoine Bethel coming from Howard, Ashley Ambrose, Mississippi Valley. You know, we could go on, I could go on name more and more people that's in the HBCU world that played. Even you could go back to Jimmy Smith when he got drafted by the Cowboys in the first round. Didn't even make it with the Cowboys. He won a Super Bowl ring, but he didn't play like that. He made his bones in Jacksonville. And what did he do? Basically, the man is the all-time leading receiver in Jacksonville history. Number one, numero uno. That man should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why he ain't in the Hall of Fame. That man should be in the Hall of Fame right now. So, I look at it as kids reading this, kids saying like, wow, you mean to tell me I could go to Jackson State and get on Sports Illustrated just like that? Yes, you could do that. But it also takes, you also have to have the talent to do it and to have the wisdom and the mindset to do it. You got to understand that this is something that you have to grind for, that there's no off days or anything that you see that's on the football field. So I look at it as, like I said, momentous. I look at it as a recruiting tool for Jackson State. Now, you tell me that they not gonna, you think me to tell me that Prime not gonna use that as a recruiting tool to get kids to come to his school? That's, if you don't think he's gonna use that as a recruiting tool, you're sorely mistaken. Sorely mistaken. I guarantee he's gonna use it as a push. Like, hey man, you, yeah. What's your height and weight? 6'3", 205. What you run? A 4'4"? Oh yeah, you coming to play receiver. Don't even worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna let you know you're gonna be on. You're gonna be on Sports Illustrated. Next thing you know, ESPN. Next thing you know, CBS Sports. Next thing you know, NBC Sports. The possibilities are endless. Just by having this come, you know, being brought up and being about to be marketed out next week. So again, like I said, I see this as like being a recruiting tool, being momentous, being kids wanting to come, not just because they have to come, but they want to come. I see it as looking into the culture. Some kids don't understand what the HBCU culture is until they get here, and then when you get here, especially for a homecoming game, Travis Hunter got hooked on JSU because he came to a homecoming game, not just a game, a homecoming game where you had over 50,000 in the stadium. I would have been one of them because I was there. And two, it's Coach Prime. Coach Prime invited you to come and experience something that you would never get from any P5 school. Not a Alabama, not a Georgia, not a Ole Miss, not a Texas, not a A&M, none of those schools. You would not get that at any PWI, but you would surely get it at HBCU. So, you know what I mean? I commend these kids that are making these decisions to come to these HBCUs, not because they don't have nowhere else to go, but because they want to come and want to be loved and have a family atmosphere and to get a great education and to move on to the next level. So will we see more covers like these for other HBCUs, other schools in HBCU world? I don't know. We don't know. But if we do, I'm going to be right on board. I'm be on board with it. Even though I'm D.I. Love, I'm still going to be on board with it because it's pushing the culture. It's giving us the spotlight that we should have been having 10, 15 years ago. If you understand, if you know what I mean, if you understand where I'm coming from, especially for us older heads, for the older generation, everybody know where it's coming from, where we, when it came to HBCU football, we sucked at it for like the last 10, 15 years. This is just another renaissance. It's history repeating itself. I feel like this is not gonna be a small wave, but this is gonna be a big wave for everybody to come and experience HBCU culture and become part of the HBCU family. And again, can't say that HBCUs ain't popping. Ain't that what Coach Prime said? But again, I like the fact that Sports Illustrated put JSU, put Travis Hunter, Shedeur, Coach Prime on the cover. And if you look at some of the other things on the inside of it, fresh to death, clean as a whistle. You know what I'm saying? Clean like a referee whistle. But I want y'all to get to understand. Come and join me. Don't forget to like, share, comment, but most of all, subscribe. This is Doc Holliday with HBCU Overdrive. Peace out.